Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about emotionally processing the narrative that happens in Dungeons and Dragons. And this is part of discussing and thinking about the second 50 years of Dungeons and Dragons. We played Dungeons and Dragons completely wrong for 50 years, and now the second 50 is getting it right. So what did we do wrong for the first 50 years? Well, we thought that the D&D narrative, the story that we were experiencing, needed to be primarily processed intellectually, and that the intellectual energy should not be on the narrative that's being told, but on our character build, right? Like this, oh, I'm going to get this feat, and I'm going to get this power, and I'm going to get this ability at these levels, and then I'm going to be able to do more damage, right? Like, and there was an intense amount of energy that was spent on exactly that, on processing this incredible, on processing, building a strong, getting a strong build, right? And there was really very little intellectual processing that was put on the narrative itself, and there was very and it was wrong, and that's the limit. And then what we're going to talk about today, we didn't talk about it at all. Like, we really did not, in the 50 years, talk about emotionally processing the Dungeons and Dragons narrative. Okay, so let's do this now. So what does it mean to emotionally process a Dungeons and Dragons narrative? So what is a Dungeons and Dragons narrative? It is the story that unfolds, that the dungeon master has prepared a scaffolding. The players are changing that scaffolding and building as they literally climb the scaffolding, and the math rocks are removing parts of the scaffolding and adding parts of the scaffolding randomly, right? And nothing like this happens, and all of the entire narrative is focused on the player characters and built around the player characters and built to highlight the player characters, and they are the catalyst for everything that happens in the story. There's never been a story model like this in the history of humanity. So what does it mean to emotionally process that D&D narrative? Well, first of all, let's talk about the player, who I'm going to call the Dragon Master. So you got one Dungeon Master, you have 5 Dragon Masters. The Dragon Masters are the Dungeons and Dragons players. Okay, so let's talk about those Dragon Masters. The Dragon Masters sit down, and they have to deal with their emotions, right? So what does it mean to emotionally process this narrative? So first of all, there is a flow of emotions that happen at every table. The Dragon Master is a real person, a real man, a real woman, right? And they have their own set of emotions. Now, first of all, they have to determine the bidirectional flow of their emotions. What does that mean, right? So basically, let's say that I have an excess of a specific type of emotion, right? But I know that based on the structure of my life, the demands on me, what I've been obligated to, I can't express those emotions at all in my IRL. Then Dungeons and Dragons, the narrative becomes a place where I can possibly express those emotions, express them fully, right? And I could build a player character, a Dragon Master character, to do that, to allow me to express emotions that my IRL absolutely does not allow me to express, right? So that's one emotional processing, is how much of their own personal emotions is the Dragon Master going to display in the D&D narrative. It's powerful, it's important, right? And then here's another one, right? Then the D&D narrative forces the Dragon Master to be in a world that is completely alien to their own, and the circumstances are going to bring up different types of species that they may have never encountered before, different types of many different types of circumstances that they've never felt before. And then that player character, that Dragon Master character, is going to emote. They're going to show emotions based on the current situation. that flow of emotions is going to go back to the Dragon Master personally, right? Do they take some of those emotions? Do they attach them to themselves? Do they allow them to change their own personal emotional mix because they now understand emotions that they prior would never have experienced? A perfect example of this is the death of a player character, the death of a Dragon Master character. When people sit at the table, they could start as early as 12. Even if you're 18 or 20, you may have never experienced a death, right? Someone that you had journeyed with, someone that you cared about. And that emotional impact can happen at the table. And we've done nothing with this for 50 years. We have not really explored what it means to experience death before we experience it IRL, right? We haven't had this discussion. We don't know what this emotional mixture really means at all, right? So this bi-directional flow of how much of the emotions of the player character do we take in personally, how much of our own emotions that we're not allowed to express in our real life, right? In our AEOR, in our Earth, EARTH, Earth One, right? Or O Earth, Earth Gary, right? Like, how much of our emotions here on this planet in our physical form are allowed to be expressed in this other world, right? And again, people are like, oh, Dungeons and Dragons about cutting goblins in half. And you're like, do you understand what's happening here? There's a group of people, charismatic, confident, intelligent, courageous people who have this entire additional set of lives in which they're able to emote safely. Other people don't have this. And do you know what they're doing because they don't have this? They're taking outrageous, extreme measures, right? Dealing with substances, taking extremely risky behaviors, right? Because they have these emotions pent up and they have absolutely no outlet for them, right? Whereas Gary literally built worlds to take on all this human excess, right? And to give an intangible space where the risk, the physical, real world risks, the physical EARTH world, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is real world. Like, yes, we live here physically, right? But every single one of you is starting to understand that these worlds that we're building, they are very real in many ways. And what they accomplish is extremely real. And the absence of it in other human lives is shockingly real, right? This ability to have a bi-directional flow for our emotions, to receive emotions that are EARTH IRL, right, experience would never allow. And this pressure valve where we can move an excess of emotion into a player character, into a Dragon Master character, and emote there, it's astounding. It is shockingly important, right, and critical. This is a critical change. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion, nothing more, nothing less. What's important is when I hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider like and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.